In today's video I have this rather strange looking boombox of sorts. This is, I guess, a post boombox era in a way, because there's no cassette player, no CD player. It's got one of these iPod type docking ports, USB, and does actually have auxiliary in on the back, which I definitely wouldn't have touched it if it didn't. So at least it can be sort of tried out fairly easily, but it's, I guess some people might call it rather hideous looking thing. Collects a lot of dust around all these speakers and stuff. I just gave it a bit of a clean up because it was in pretty filthy condition. The speakers are still full of dust. We've got a moth in the display there, a few yellow dots of God knows what on it. But I thought it was kind of interesting because it's just such an out there kind of unit, and I'm not sure any serious boombox collector would necessarily collect this sort of thing because it's the sort of MP3 player era, but you certainly got to give it to Sony for making a rather bold design. And it'd be interesting to see if this thing actually works. I'm not sure if it's even meant to work and what it's like, but I'm sure it's loud. That's one thing we can probably guarantee with it. Let's plug it in and see if it actually does anything. Well, we've got a red standby light. Red display, of course. And it does have flashing lights on the speaker. I was going to say this is the era when Sony went fairly sort of kitsch, I guess you could say, with flashing lights and all that sort of stuff. I guess that's what the market demanded, so that's what they made. But we do have light up woofers. So, you know, where would we be without red display and light up woofers in this world? Volume seems to work. Oh yeah, the function buttons for the iPod, which doesn't exist in there. I wonder if we can just plug a USB in there. Oh, it's actually got a radio. Oh, well, I'll be damned. So it does have something in it. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, we've got tuning. Not hearing much going on. Oh yeah, there we definitely got some sound in the background. Oh, that's Triple J. You think you'd get something there. Does it have an antenna of any sort? Or if it did... Oh, that's what that little... Okay, we've got a 3-pin connector near the auxiliary in. Still not going to work very well, I don't think. Tuning down doesn't seem to work. Great. Now we're going to rock off. Well, it says that's tuning minus. Oh, you just maybe got to hold it a bit longer. If it's a multi-function button. Yeah, I should have thought it would have a tuner in it. So long since I've looked at it, but what's it called? A home audio docking system. RDH-GTK1i. Oh no, what's it doing? Some random stuff. Maybe that button is a bit rubbishy. Oh yeah, it's going all over the place. But probably once you get it in that mode, oh no, it's going to a different mode when I press it rather than... Oh, that was what I wanted, I think, 87.8. I do have a remote here which is supposed to fit this thing, which I got separately. Oh, yeah, I've even put batteries in it by the look of it. Tuning mode. Oh, here we go. Can we turn off this auto rubbish? Well, if that was for this, it doesn't run it. So if this remote was meant for this, it doesn't run it. Or the remote sensor isn't working. Where is there a big thing there? Yeah, it's got files and USB, tuner, audio in, iPod. So I think that was for this unit, but it doesn't seem to run it. I expected more volume than that out of it. It's not very loud at all, really, for a massive unit. I mean, it does have quite big speakers built into it. Well, they're actually only 125 or something, 6-inch or something. They're not actually that big when you look down the hole there. Oh well, I might have to have a look inside and try and clean it up a little bit. Whether it's really worth the bother, I'm not sure, but I just thought it's a bit of a gimmick. And an interesting kind of bit of styling from, I guess, a particular era. Let's see what is inside all this. It's only like cheap MDF or something cabinet. So, pretty cheap and nasty looking in a way. Looks like there's quite a few caps and stuff in there. If it's an iPod type thing, there's not going to be a lot of electronics in this thing, I wouldn't think. Just a couple of big speakers and not much else in there. really that's all this thing is like an active speaker, I guess. Actually, this is actually chipboard, I think. It's not even MDF. That's a bit rough. So it's kind of just a speaker box with a bit of extra stuff. I've got a big main power switch on the back. Didn't even notice that before. So if it didn't come on, you'd have to go looking for that. What I missed here. Is there another screwing in the power cord or something? It's just the power cord a bit holding it on, I think. There's a bloody screw hidden. A couple of screws hidden up under there. Gonna say something screwed there. Oh well, at least they made it strong and safe for that. Oh, look at that, it is just a speaker box with that on the back, I think. That's even got a fan in it. Well, that's a good idea with these sort of things that people crank up, but it's not really loud enough to be very impressive. So there's the board, we've got a tuner, auxiliary in, looks like it's got a speaker protector, possibly a couple of bridge rectifiers, or is that just, that's probably just a standby one. They got some sort of big, that's a Sanyo output chip, STK433-090. Not much of a power transformer in it, which is a good indicator that it's not particularly powerful. And you can take this top bit off by look at it for the other electronics in it. I'll just get it off if I can to give it a bit of a clean up. Why is that so well stuck? That feels like it's still screwed on as well. Oh, is there one more in the middle there? I can't see a thing down that hole, but I reckon there's something in there. That's the one. Mostly just full of dust. So yeah, just a flat bit of wood with a few sockets and display bits. Looks like I have to undo that. So yeah, just a couple of circuit boards there, chip to run the display. And yeah, absolutely filthy under there, cobwebs everywhere. So this thing's probably been in a shed or somewhere. And how do we, is this like sealed up? So we must do the speakers from the front, I think, because they screw into it there. Obviously you could take all this chassis and stuff off, but I'm not seeing any real holes in there. So this is probably all sort of glued on and glued together. Oh, you can take these off. I wonder if that's the key. Chances are they just undo the handles, but that's the one. There they are, big long screws. And nothing really comes loose. That'll be right. Well, I would have at least expected these handles to come out. Oh well, maybe this is just a waste of time. At least they've screwed them right in there, so they're going to take the weight rather well, but doesn't help you get the plastic bits off, I don't think. I'll check this one as well. Nope. So you probably almost need a service manual to work out how to get this thing to bits. Now out the back it's a very wobbly design. Oh, do I take the whole, probably should take the whole chassis off with the board. Probably wasting my time. Get these detached from the fan. I think we're going to just leave the fan behind. A lot of screws in it. I've got that one. Oh, there's another one hiding in there. Something further up this way, so maybe you do have to take the board off to... Bit of a silly design. Or is it just that? Just that holds it to the... Oh, there we go. I might even remove that fan, so that's out of the way. That one's a good cleaning off. The problem with putting fans on things is it pulls dust in. That's about all they're good for half the time. So I don't think there's much you can do. I'm very tempted just to throw it in the fire as it is, I think. I can't even clean the thing up. It is odd that these don't come off. I might even see if I can find a manual for the horrible thing online and see if I can work out how to get it apart. Okay, clean the worst of the dust off the chassis. I just found out in the manual that you can turn the remote system off on this thing for some reason by the look of it. And we've got to hold the tuning up and groove buttons together 5 seconds. See what it says about circs or something. Circs off. Should turn it back on. Circs on. Yeah, there you go. So someone's probably, either these buttons are a bit dodgy or someone's accidentally pressed it or something. And you can also set something to do with the volume here. Gets up to 30 max. I think it's function and groove we hold for 5 seconds. Vax off. I think off means you can go louder or something, but it doesn't seem to make much difference. At least there. I suppose this is 120 watts a channel, which is a joke to say the least. Vax on. Does it actually change what it shows? Dunno. I might try turning it off and just see if, because I think it was on originally. But anyway, that sets that. That fan had been sucking in tons of dust, absolutely filthy this thing was. And according to the manual, those handles should just pull off, and then the front, you put the screws back in, I think, without, there's some screws under the handle holes that you take out, holding the front panel to the cabinet. Then you put your big long screws back in, and that'll push the, or pull the panel part of the way off, and then you just prise it off with a screwdriver by the sound of it. So maybe I should go and just hold this thing up in the air somewhere over a big drop or something, and I bet they come off then when I don't want it to drop and break. But what is the secret? These do not. I'm just gonna have to force them off, I think. Oh man, I'm gonna break this thing to get it apart, I think. Looks like it had 2 pieces going down into the wood and they've snapped off. Yeah, then we've got screws underneath, so I don't know what the story is with that, but they were not coming out. Now, according to the manual, just pull them out, but yeah, of course, in the real world, is that the case? Well, they're just going to break by the look of it. I have to break part of it off to get the front off anyway. Someone glued them in rather well, I think. But yeah, it's just left the base of them. That one doesn't have any bits sticking out, so it's probably alright, but yeah, they're just super glued in there, I think. But I thought something was going to break. But if I'm just lucky, this is only a rubbishy one anyway, so it's no big loss to the world. But it is a bit annoying. Yeah, well, that one broke a bit easier now that I know how to do it. But whatever holds them in, oh yeah, they're right about you can put the screws back in and use them to push against the wood behind. I'm going to have to break some bits off that are sticking out. Oh, that won't be coming out of the way, but yeah, if we push these back in, I don't know how tightly that is on there, but they just say to do that, then prise it with a screwdriver, just making sure that any screwdriver you put under there obviously doesn't go through the cones of the speakers, but you'd be hard pressed to get one in that far, I would think. Yeah, it's starting to bend out a bit. I think we'll do all four of them, because probably should get a fitting fitted battery to do this, but that's bending it out, separating it, but it's not exactly looking the best because we're coming out more at the edges in the middle, I think. But I've got more of those pins like the ones I just broke. Yeah, they've been well glued in there. That's like some solid glue. The handle looks like there's glue on these ones as well, so maybe to stop it rattling or something. So maybe they had issues and in later ones they glued them down better or something. You wouldn't know, but there's no way those handles were coming off in a hurry without breaking them. I mean, you think these bolts would be enough to hold them in place without having to mess around gluing them in. But it's most likely something to do with vibrations or the like. Now the problem is this is still stuck in the middle because it's probably got more pins glued in there. At least if I get the ends loose, that'll be a start. Yeah, it seems to be coming out more at the ends than the middle part, but this cabinet's all starting to fall to bits, or it's water damaged or something. Anyway, I think there's a fair bit of glue there, and we'll have to prise it in the middle because there's something holding it. Oh, I can hear something tearing or whatever. I'm marking the wood a bit doing it. Jeez, yeah, that is super tight. Lots of pins, lots and lots of them. Oh, we've got a date on this, 2017, is it? That can't be 2011, it must be. And that's it, it does come apart. God, look at the cobwebs in the thing. And they're the light up speakers, are they? What the? Yeah, when I looked at online, actually the speaker cones look like they lit up, but maybe that's an illusion. I don't know, I was expecting plastic, but of course the lights are on the front of them, so not sure what they've done there. Pretty dirty though. Yeah, it looks like it's something of April 2011. I actually would have thought they'd be a bit earlier than that, but does this have? It does have connectors hidden under a bit of tape here by the look of it. Foamy tape, probably again to stop it rattling. But you're gonna have to tear that to get it off, I think. That's one. That's two, just so I can take this outside and give it a proper clean. The other bit's not so bad. But let's try and get our handles out. Just for the hell of it. I don't know if they're just a little... Yeah, comes out not so bad now. But yeah, glued in the same as the other bits. I don't know why that wouldn't come out, but it wouldn't. That one's just going to chew off. Yeah, that one's, they are pretty tight. That's the only one that's I've managed to get out so far. Maybe with a screw down in there or something we could... Yeah, no, they're all well glued in. I mean, look, those ones aren't so bad, but the one up this end's got a massive amount of glue around it. So, yeah, one of those sort of things that is always annoying when you're trying to repair things and not do any damage to anything, since usually it's someone else's property and you don't want to go breaking bits of it. But goes to show, if you have to pull one of these apart, it may be inevitable that you do a little bit of damage. And a nice clean up. Get the rest of the muck out of there. Because that was absolutely chockers with dust. I thought it was just in a dusty environment, but that fan is a large part of the cause, I think, of bringing lots of dust to this unit. Well, I got the, still a bit dirty on the inside, but got the outside cleaned up a lot better. Still needs some stuff around the outside, but at least these speaker hole parts are clean. Went in through the back here, they're absolutely full of cobwebs and stuff. I'll just have a quick look at what's, looks like there's 3 little LEDs in that plastic bit there and a white bit, which I guess is a connector. Might just have a quick look at the back of these tweeters, whether they want pulling out and cleaning. They probably do, but not sure if it's really worth the bother, but might as well have a look what we've got in here while we're here. Assuming that comes out, which it does. Ugh, full of muck. Oh, that tweeter's got 2 screws holding it in by the look of it. No, this undoes the plastic bit. Ugh, full of muck. It's actually 2 LEDs, so I guess they're 2 RGB LEDs or something. I think this can do white, red and blue from what I saw on YouTube of a couple of people demonstrating these things. I'll clean that out while I'm at it, I guess. And yeah, it looks like it sort of goes along with the music, changing colours or something. And there it is. That definitely could do with a quick clean, and probably get some of the dust out of here while we're at it, and cobwebs. But this is, yeah, and that gets me into that little piece there. So I'll clean a little ring around the tweeter there, which would be good because that probably doesn't look the best. And just get that little dust cap and stuff a quick clean off. So this thing probably was, this has been lying around here for at least a couple of years, I think. So this was only really a 10-year-old unit when I got it. So that's been very badly looked after by the look of it if it's in that poor a condition for just 10 years old. And of course, one thing not to forget before you screw it all back together is we pulled a couple of plugs out here. So easy to forget that and then put the whole thing back together. Go to test it and realise something isn't working, but that's why you always test every function, particularly if you're repairing it for someone else, because you're guaranteed to leave something unplugged if you're not careful. And we're going to have to get these back out. Oh, it's not going anywhere. Usually a good thump, we'll get most of it back together. And we'll get our corner screws back in, and that should hopefully pull it tight. They're only in the wood, so no point doing them up too tight. And just check it looks like it's actually come back together. Could do it a little bit tighter in the middle, but I think that's generally pretty good. And put these handles back on. And admittedly the front here hasn't gone back together perfectly. Probably just needs a good thumping, and I've put a couple of screwdriver marks, but luckily one good thing about here is that's covered right up to there, so those couple of marks in the wood will be covered by the top panel, I think. That should just go straight over there. Yeah, that covers that up, so that's actually a good place to prise it a bit. And I can probably just about screw that back on now, but I might put the backboard on first. And the best way to lift up something like this is always hold it by the transformer, because that's the heaviest bit. So always grab it by the transformer, because everything's light compared to that. You're not going to be bending and flexing and potentially damaging it. Get rid of the last of the cobwebs. Where do we go there? Yeah, I've got to get very busy with the drill. But we'll again start at the heavy end, don't go screwing the circuit board on first. You need to get this heavy chassis part attached and the circuit board last really, but I will put something in the circuit board to make sure it's lined up. But that's got most of the weight out of the chassis part. Then we can, they smaller screws, they might be actually. So we won't worry about the circuit board, looks like that's all lined up. One more thing I was thinking, and I nearly forgot, plug the fan back in. Some of these things will come up with an error code or something if the fan's not plugged in. And we can look at putting this back on. Although, one thing I've got to do, there is a moth in there, so we might get that apart, and that button was a bit dicky, wasn't it? I probably should have checked all the buttons while I had it apart. That was something you'd normally do, but I think I did press most of the others and they didn't play up at all. Looks like a couple of, oh, does that, display's definitely wired into the other one. You could almost move it, but no, we'll take this whole lot off. I've got to get to that switch anyway. And probably a good chance to clean out the inside of that little display window. And it's got clips as well. Something in the middle. That's the rotary thing. Does that have to pull off somehow? I reckon it does. Is that why there's a round hole there? Does that push? Not sure what they've done. Oh, just touched it and it fell off. Oh, there's an actual nut under there. And a lot of muck. Of course. Yeah, barely even touched that knob and it popped off, so at least that was nice and easy to get off. I was expecting this not to even be attached, just to have a knob with a longer shaft than that on it, but there you go. Now we can touch our clips and get rid of that dust everywhere, so no wonder the switches are starting to play up in this thing. Those little tiny ones, just a 2-pinner I think they are. And that remote receiver was pretty dirty as well, so it won't hurt to clean that. Where'd that moth go? And he's still hanging around in there. Go on, out you go. Yeah, probably won't hurt to clean that from the inside, and the remote window is quite dirty. Not that it probably matters, but I'll also clean it while I can get to it. I even need a cotton bud to finish this off. A little bit of dirt coming off. I can't get that real well. Just make sure I haven't left any muck in there. There's a bit of a mark on it, but I think that's on the outside. Oh yeah. was the tuning down, I think, which I think is that one. I better double check. Yeah. Luckily I saved a couple of these little tiny ones because they aren't in the little eBay kit I've got. I think they came out of some random bit of Sony equipment I had lying around. I think I actually found a board that I snapped out of some old DVD player or something and kept. So I unsoldered those, and they should be perfect for this job. Saves having to order the right part, since it's only my junk anyway. I always bend the bloody pins right over. I guess since they don't have any mechanical mounting, that's how they do it. It is kind of good to stop dry joints, but yeah, same type of switch. Toss that in the rubbish. See if I can bend them back a bit. Oh, part of that track's come off. Not unusual. Always press the switch firmly home and I let the solder sit on at least one of the pins. Probably should get that a clean out as well. And that's just the iPod dock up there, isn't it? iPod and USB, we won't worry about that, even though I haven't tested them. So that little encoder thing has to go through the hole, and the display down there somewhere. That's it. And yeah, I guess we should probably put that nut back on there first. And just quickly clean out around there while we can get to it. And probably the edges of this, and it's got a lot of dirt underneath, still has to be brushed off. Yeah, it's always good to get in there while you can. And is that a D shaft? It is. It should go that way, I think. That's it. Half a dozen screws, well, probably the best part of a dozen screws, and we should be right. So we'll get that metal tab back on there and plug these in. Oh, that's not sitting right, is it? What have I done there? I bent it right round. Now, where do these sit? A bit further forward, and there's a little slot in that should clip on. That's it. And some of our black screws. Was it 5 of them on that? And we should be right to put it back together. You should really test it probably first. But I think I've plugged everything back in. Yep, fans in, everything should be right. Might actually be better to put this front down, I think. Trying to line everything up. think that's it. Two silver ones for the power cord, two for the power switch and two for the auxiliary socket, I think. Must be another dozen or so for the cabinet. Okay, power on. We have standby light. Of course, if it doesn't come back on, you've probably just pressed that power switch, putting the back on. Well, there we have it. Some flashing lights. You can hear the fan pulsing when I press that groove button. Certainly don't think that's good for 120 watts. But yeah, I've got a bit of colour there. I think that's the demo light. Oh yeah, off, light on, or off. FM tuner. Yeah, now we can tune a bit better, I think. We're not flashing up. Oh. No. Maybe you press that one to get it to stop where you want it to stop, or something weird like that. It's a bit of an odd thing to use. Try a clip lead on the back. Well, baby, if you let me, I can help you out. Yeah, it's just got a blue glow at minimum volume by the look of it. Okay, let's see if it actually reads off a USB stick. That's the one I use in the Sony head unit in my car. And we need to change input. Not saying 1, so that's a good sign. No, it's reading the text. Yeah, change its track. We can change on the remote tuner direct to USB, so it just goes into pause mode. So if we pause it and hit the folder buttons, does that change to different? Oh yeah, that's how we use it. Well, that's about it for this one. This all seems to be running fine. It reads off a USB stick. I haven't got, actually I do have a iPod somewhere. I think a friend gave me, I think the battery shot in it, or largely shot in it. But I'm not going to bother trying that in there. So it's got an FM tuner in it. We've got auxiliary input. So the auxiliary input means you could Bluetooth this fairly easy with one of those little modules you can buy. So it'll be alright as a, you know, worksite radio type thing, something like that I would think, especially in the condition this one's in. Even with the USB stick might be even better, because then you don't have to use your phone. So it'd be quite handy for something like that. Just a bit of portable music somewhere. Though you do need 240 volts basically, so maybe for a backyard barbecue type thing, party, whatever, it probably wouldn't be too bad for something like that. As long as you've got 240 volt power available. But yeah, even a building site or something, that's fine. Probably not so much for a picnic or something. But anyway, it's an interesting unit. Sort of the end of the boombox era as we knew it. No more tape or CD or physical media. Just files or an MP3 player, which is kind of physical media compared to the Bluetooth era, which I guess came afterwards. But they've gone down to those smaller little boombox things now, little Bluetooth things, which I don't particularly like. I'd prefer something with some decent speakers like this in it and a decent amplifier that actually points the speakers towards you, sort of thing, rather than out the ends. But they all do the job basically. So it's an interesting one to look at. This one's in pretty poor condition. It didn't cost much. I did see another one since, but this is only one of two that I've ever seen around. And yeah, pretty rough, so I think I'll just throw it in the junk shed for now. And I know where it is if I ever need it again, but it was just an interesting project to look at. Something a lot different. Not the prettiest thing I've ever seen. And yeah, the fact it's actually got this wood which is all fallen to bits and obviously been wet or something doesn't help. So in that sense, it's not a very durable case on this thing. Alright, as an indoor unit, but if you drop this the wrong way, that case would probably smash into a million pieces, being chipboard. And of course, yeah, water and stuff gets in and makes it swell. There's nothing on the ends. You can see it's sticking up here, the actual wood, which that would have originally been a bit lower, but the moisture's got in there and the wood swells up and bends up at the edges. So not a great quality unit, certainly not the power output they say, I don't think. Hopefully I've edited in somewhere what the ratings of that Sanyo chip are. I'll be very surprised if the actual chip manufacturer says it's rated 120 watts a channel or even 60 watts a channel, but it does pump out some quite loud bass, so maybe at extremes it is getting up to something like that, but I'm not really sure about that. It's not a particularly loud amp. I'd say more 10-15 watts or something maybe from the sound of this one. But anyway, that's got that one sorted out, so thanks for watching.